Thank you. Stop clapping. Thank you for coming to this, even though I'm not famous. I'm working on it. And then I won't have to do this anymore. I'll just be in movies with women who are too attractive for me. And then the movies will do badly, and then I'll be back to doing this. I was at a poetry reading the other night by accident, and afterwards I saw this guy come up to one of the poets, and he was like, he goes, "Oh man, you really knocked it out of the park." And I wished I could see that the other way around, like a baseball player hits a home run, and one of his teammates comes up to him and he's like, "Oh man, you really wrote and performed a very boring poem." Great start, thank you. I like to watch baseball, so I stream it on the internet, you know? But there's always this point where I have to figure out, like, if my stream froze, or if I'm just watching baseball. I always thought it would be fun to get into fantasy novels, you know? I got friends, they like Game of Thrones and that kind of thing. But then I always tried, and then I would get bored by the time I saw that map. I guess sometimes it's good to know that, like, between one fake town and another fake town, there's like a very squiggly road. When people read those, do they like flip back to the map? And they're like, oh, that's where that happened. Right by the lake. I think it's going to be weird in 40 years when like everybody's grandparents have like full sleeve tattoos. And then they have to like sit down and explain to their grandchildren about like how they have no personality. Who'd I get here? I was talking to a guy in a bar recently, and he told me that he doesn't find women who have tattoos attractive. So I just want to say, like, with this platform that I have, if there are any women in this audience who maybe have tattoos, you know, I just want to say, you don't stand a chance with that guy. If you happen to see a guy who looks kind of like he's got nothing going on in his life, forget about it. How come everybody thinks it's so cool to have a toothpick in their mouth, you know? Like, oh man, check this guy out. He gets so much food stuck in his teeth. This guy's a legend. Good jokes, right? Good jokes. Yeah, thanks. I have this healthy friend, and she gave me a cupcake the other day, and I ate it. And then afterwards, she was like, she goes, "I bet you couldn't tell that the icing on that cupcake was made out of beets." And I was like, you're right, I could not tell. But I could tell that it really did not taste very good. Some people are clapping, but not all of you, which is Bothers me a little bit. Can you guys imagine if you were just having like a nice long rest, and then all of a sudden you realize that there are like tiny replicas of yourself all over yourself? Now you know how the Earth might feel if it finds out about all these globes. Does anybody need some time with that one, or? Late laugh. I was watching this science show recently, and on this show they were like, they go, "Did you know that you could fit 1 million of the Earth into the sun?" And I was like, who cares? Some things are just bigger than other things, you know? I don't sit around all day trying to figure out like how many M&Ms would go in my head, you know? Have you ever seen a comedian bad boy enough to have a beer on stage? It's just me and Ricky Gervais. If I were ever covered in tar, personally, you know, I would not be that worried about the feathers. I'd be more worried about hot tar, for sure. Hot tar. I have this great idea for a reality show. It's like all these people that people said could never hurt a fly. And they have to live in a house with like 1 million flies. I was talking to this Italian guy recently, and he was kind of like freaking out that we put chicken on pizza here. And I was like, yeah, maybe you're right, but you're wearing like this little fedora hat. So I don't really want to hear from you. Especially about what things go good on top of other things, you know? I was worried about that one because Montreal seems like a bit of a fedora town. You know? I didn't want to come in here and stomp on your culture. I was walking by this restaurant the other day, and underneath the name of the restaurant, it said the types of food that they make. It said pizza, pasta, calzone. And I like that because to me it looked like some food got together and opened up like a little law firm. That's the beer guy. That guy's a party animal. I've noticed that a lot of people who play guitar, they have a guitar strap that has a lightning bolt on it. You seen those? Yeah, you know those. I like to really think about it because it's like lightning coming out of your guitar, you know? And then going all the way around you. And then back into your guitar. And amazingly, you're like still not that good at guitar. I have this left-handed friend, and she was telling me the other day, she was like, did you know that a lot of very important, successful people have been left-handed? Like a high percentage of the US presidents and this kind of thing. And I was like, I have heard that, but you're not really doing anything with your life, so. You worry about that first. At this point, you're kind of hurting the statistics. Do you guys remember that show Party of Five? Party of Five, anybody? Okay. Party of Five, for those of you who don't remember, was a show that was on in the 90s about 5 kids whose parents die and they have to raise themselves. And I always thought another good name for that show might be Five Alive. And then in brackets, 2 dead. I heard about this guy the other day. He wrote an entire book without the letter E in it. That's true. An entire novel that didn't have the letter E in it. Yeah, apparently the name of the book is What a Wast of Tim. Recently I was thinking about getting in shape, getting real fit. And I went to the gym, and I looked around, and there were a couple guys who were in really good shape. But, like, their faces were still kind of ugly. And I thought, well, I'm not going to do this. All that work, end up like that. Can you imagine working so hard to look good naked, and then nobody wants to see you naked? Sometimes people say this thing, fit as a fiddle, And I don't know what that means. But I think maybe they're trying to fat shame the cello. Sometimes when somebody hears something they don't understand, they'll say there's no rhyme or reason. And I understand why you might want a reason, but a rhyme? It's kind of weird. Like a guy loses his dog or something, And you go, oh, don't worry about it. The dog, it's in a bog. And then he goes, oh, yeah. Of course. Glad we got to the bottom of that one. Now that weed's legal, there's all this weed around, right? Like, there's these weed dispensaries and stuff. And I have friends, and they say to me, you gotta try this stuff out because there's all these different types of weed, and they do different things, And I'm like, oh, yeah, cool. Do you know what type of weed might give me, like, the chillest panic attack? Like, which one will make me feel like I'm gonna die in my head, and which one in my body, I get social anxiety sometimes when I'm at parties, and I came up with a trick for it. You can use it if you like. What I do is I get a drink, and I hold it in front of me, and I pretend that it's a very small moat that will protect me. And then I drink about 15 moat. I was having a beer in the afternoon with this friend recently, and he goes to me, oh man, I love day drinking. And I was like, I think that means you just love drinking. Nobody's offered a drink in the evening and they're like, oh, no. I only partake in drink when it's followed by a very hideous nap. It seems to me that almost everybody has some type of story about a type of alcohol they drank too much of when they were younger, and they can't drink it anymore because they got sick. And no matter what the alcohol is, like whether it's vodka or whiskey or rum or tequila, there's a similarity, which is that the story is always very boring. I get really bad hangovers when I drink. I can always tell that my hangovers are worse than other people's from like the hangover advice they give me. My friends will be like, oh, don't worry about it. Just go get a nice greasy brunch, you know? And I'm like, oh yeah, cool. Do you know any good brunch spots where like they feed you while you writhe around on the floor? Oh. There's like heavy industrial fans everywhere. You're definitely not allowed to talk. I have this thing I do sometimes where I have these haiku poems that I like to recite. And I was gonna do it tonight, but I feel a bit like it's just not quite right. And, oh, all right. A jazz man. Let's do it then. Haiku poems. He swims, I hang on. My savior in the great flood. Ponytailed man. Do they open more? I want to gaze into them. Renee Zellweger. A rainbow is red. A rainbow is orange, green, and other colors. White people with dreads. Finding whole circles of friends who somehow like them. Joey, Monica, Ross, Phoebe, Rachel. The Friends characters. Thanks. I was feeling kind of depressed recently, you know, and I read somewhere that if you're depressed, what you should do is you look in the mirror and you smile at yourself. And you say nice things to yourself. And what that's supposed to do is it actually kind of tricks your brain into thinking you're happier than you are. And I tried it, and it didn't work. And now I think my brain thinks I'm like some kind of loser. I'm getting older, as we all are, but I'm getting older, and as I get older, I'm getting less ambitious, you know? And I really realized it the other day. I found a stray eyelash, and usually you make some kind of wish, and I used to wish for things like money and fame, that kind of thing, But the other day I just wished for my eyelash to grow back. A few years ago I turned 30, and I was a bit freaked out about it. And I was talking to a friend, and he was like, you know what, don't worry about it. Age is just a number. And I was like, you know what, you're right. It is. It's like a number that you can kind of use to roughly estimate how much time you have left to live. Somebody recently was telling me about this thing called a champagne birthday. Have you heard of that? Yeah. They were telling me that when you turn the age of the day of the month that you were born on, you get to drink champagne. And they were like, okay, so for example, when is your birthday? And I said, well, my birthday is on the 3rd of September. And they said, well, that's too bad, because you would have been 3. You don't get to have one. And I was like, you're right, that is too bad. Except what this means maybe is that I'm going to have to drink champagne for some kind of reason that isn't stupid. Like because I want to and I can. I think it's weird that everybody just calls their lover baby. But like if you call them preteen, you've joined very half-heartedly. Thanks. I don't like to rank these kind of things, but it is weirder to date a baby, If you had to choose. I don't like the preteen guy either. But the baby guy, something wrong with that guy. And that's an understatement. Check this out. When you're young, you ride a tricycle. And then you get older and you ride a bicycle. And I think what I'm getting at here is that we should force old people to ride unicycles around. Like a countdown, 3 wheels, 2 wheels, 1 wheel, 0 wheels. There's no wheels in heaven. That's what I like to say. I'm really afraid to die. I'm really afraid of death. And I like to tell all my friends and family about it. Because if I do die early, like young, I don't want them to be able to do that thing at the funeral where they go, well, at least he's at peace now. I want them to all have to be like, oh man, he really did not want to do that. This is basically worst case scenario. Some people have this hobby, where they like to see famous people's graves. Like Jim Morrison has one in Paris that people go to, and other ones. I have kind of a similar but different hobby. I like to go to a graveyard, and I look around, and then I go, I never heard of him. I walked past Sick Kids Hospital the other day, and I really feel like whoever named that place is so unimaginative. Like they were like, hey, what should we call this place? And he goes, well, I don't know, what are you gonna put in it? I'm really afraid of flying, and I have this friend, and she goes to me, if you're up in the plane and you feel scared, just close your eyes and pretend you're on the Toronto subway, And I was like, thank you. But the big problem with that is that I will not be on the subway. And if I could just pretend that everything was something else, pretty nice life, right? Like Pamela Anderson 24/7, you know what I mean? Is that a good current reference? Is that gonna work? I feel like it would be hard to be gay because, say I'm out on a date with a guy, and he gets cold, and I want to be a gentleman, so I give him my jacket, but then everybody just thinks it's his jacket. Like I'm the one that underdressed? I feel like we all got very lucky that Sir Isaac Newton was a very intelligent man, because I feel like a lesser man might have just invented some kind of like Apple helmet. I think that guy who invented the Phillips head screwdriver must have had such a big ego. Like he showed it to his friends and they're like, oh, this is cool, what are you gonna call this? Like a crosshead screwdriver or something? And he's like, no. They will know the name Phillips. How are you? Good. What's your name? Jenny? Jenny on the block. Okay, what's your name? Nick Lachey. 98 degrees. Okay, what's your name? What is it? Tanny? Okay. What's your name? What? Mike. Mike Bullard. Yeah. It's kind of a trick I have, They love it in the Heartland. You guys heard about this Shark Week? Anybody? Shark Week? I don't get it, Shark not weak, shark strong. That's going on TV forever, and there's nothing anybody can do about it. You guys should see how much I got paid for this. And I said that. I feel like in movies, whenever they want you to know that a character is pregnant, they foreshadow it by showing her throwing up, And then you know. But just once I'd like to see a movie where a woman throws up, and then you just never hear about it again. And everybody's leaving the theater like, yeah, that was good, but what was with that scene where that lady was throwing up? Like, Nonstop vomiting for 5 minutes. I have a few impressions. Can I do them for you? Great. Okay. This first impression is called The Guy Who Invented Boxing Gloves. This is the guy who invented boxing gloves. Hey guys, try these out. It's still gonna hurt so much. Thank you. This next one's called The Annoying Homophobe. This is the annoying homophobe, and he's seeing two men kiss. Get a room. And another room. This one is a very special one. This one's called The Jerk Who Loves Corn. This is the jerk who loves corn. Do I want some corn? Yeah. Thank you. This last one is called The Guy Who's Annoying After Midnight. This is the guy who's annoying after midnight. Technically, it's Wednesday. Thank you. A few more jokes and then we'll all leave. I was on the street the other day and there was this garbage man. He was picking up garbage and putting it in the truck, you know, as garbage men do. But he was doing it like this. Wrong job, right? I would think that should be first question on garbage man job interview. Do you have to do this? Sometimes I wish they'd keep the outdoor pools open even in the winter, just so I could walk by and go, yeah, no thanks. Can I say something about love real quick? Any lovers in the crowd? Oh. Wow, good. Love to me is like that really warm feeling that starts in the very tips of your fingers and goes all the way down to the very bottom of your hand. Oh no, wait, that's glove. Oh. Okay. Still not everyone. Still not everyone. How's it going up there? Oh, good. Yeah. We're gonna cut that part out. I have this great idea for a store. It's a piñata store. We sell piñatas. And people come and buy them, and then they take them home, and the kids hit them open, you know, and seemingly there's nothing in them. And everybody goes home very disappointed. But then, a few days later, it turns out all the kids have lice. You know, the other day I was on the street and I thought I saw film actor Elijah Wood. But it turned out just to be a squirrel standing on top of another squirrel. was at the zoo the other day, and I was at the gift shop afterwards, and I saw these people. They were looking at those, those personalized keychains. They say people's different names on them. And I wished I could just tell them, you can write your name on whatever you like, Imagine you are out on the street and you see a guy face down in a puddle, You'd be pretty concerned, right? But now imagine that he has a snorkel in his mouth. Are you less concerned or more concerned? Because that takes a certain amount of planning, Fellas, are there any fellas in the crowd? Great. Fellas, I don't know if you're like me, but have you ever told a woman you could give her everything? And then whispered bagel? In preparing for this special, I noticed that all the guys who do short jokes, at some point, they pull out a guitar or a piano and they tell jokes while they play it. And it's kind of a nice way to break up all the short jokes. And I don't play an instrument, and I don't want to learn. But I was watching TV one day, and I see these people, and they're tap dancing, And I think to myself, well, that looks easy. So I bought these shoes. And if you'll just give me a minute here, I'm going to put them on. Thanks. Thank you. Entertain yourselves for a minute. For once in your life. Okay. Great. I was at the club the other day. You know the club? And there was a woman who was giving me what could only be described as bedroom eyes. So I threw all my dirty laundry and towels on the floor of her eyes. I'm a real prankster. I love to prank. And I would say my favorite prank is this one where like you sign a guy's cast until so hard that you break his arm again. Thanks. I heard they discovered a new bug. Did you hear about this? Yeah, apparently they're calling the bug the goth moth. Yeah, apparently it chews holes in clothing until they become fishnet stockings. Made this longer than I should have. How come kids are so worried about being called a rotten egg, It's not even a thing you can be. They should be more worried about being called a failure in life or something like that, Do you guys think it's bad that I took my copy of On the Road, crossed out all the names, and wrote in Carrie, Miranda, Charlotte, and Samantha? I had to go to the ear, nose, throat doctor the other day. You know this guy? This guy really has to have it all. You know, these pool sharks, sometimes they lose a bunch of games on purpose to lure you into a false sense of security. And then they win, and they win all your money. And there's a few games you can't do that with, like Russian roulette. You guys heard about this guy they call the modern-day Robin Hood? Yeah, apparently he's going into like fancy condominiums and he steals the internet signal. And then he just tells like poor people what's going on the internet, you know? Thank you all very much. Good night.